when you're trying to help make people feel expensive and special, does scent play a big part in that?
I think scent does. I sometimes carry candles with me in my kit and I'll like light them. And I also sometimes carry a speaker, like a Marshall speaker, just like something to like, just because if you go into like a space, like studio space, and there's no scent in the studio already and there's no music, and then it's like it's early morning at 6 a.m. Like you're doing like
Set of tone.
Yeah, you just want to get like everyone kind of
Like
into
a
like
vibe.
a vibe.
She's
Yeah.
going for a vibe.
Yeah, I'm going for a vibe. So I think like for myself, like I use the scents that way. Like if I'm having like kind of an off day or I need to like get some courage, I'll use like the hero scent and I'll like spray that on and I'll do my makeup maybe a bit more bold than I normally would. And I'm like, okay, let's go out in the world and like.
But that's what makeup can do. Clothing, makeup.
Fragrance too, though. Like I think it all takes you to like a certain space. Like.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what they're for. And I'm uncomfortable with some of them because I know those are archetype energies that I struggle expressing. You want to do a reading for me?
Yeah.
I've already shuffled it. I feel like, you know,
took a wade in.
You know how it would be like me trying to tell Riley how to do her makeup now. So now I'm going to give you a card reading. It's too much pressure. It literally is.
You know what? I don't like the power in the room to be held by the card reader. Doing your cards, it's a personal power. You have to empower the person. And so teaching people to read their own cards is important.
Nice.
Taking money away from all those crystal ball fortune teller ladies. Can you guess what I got, guys?
I can see it.
I'll take a guess.
But it doesn't surprise me at all.
I don't really get this card often.
Do you not?
In fact, I can't even remember when I last pulled this card.
Okay. What do you see in your card? I'm going to channel my inner joy today. What do you see in your card?
So what's hit me straight off is the I. And so much over the last few weeks has been talking about this third eye or higher self or this other part, this sense that I am more than just my physical, just sort of higher and sort of working with intuition or guides. There's a huge aspect of my life that's around caregiving. Also, I notice that there's chaffs of wheat there on either side. So I think of the biblical saying, separating the chaff from the wheat. So where am I placing care? Sometimes it's not always in the right place. I'm quite opinionated, so I will give my opinion even if it's not
wanted.
It's needed though. Maybe it's not wanted, but it's needed.
It's like, I just want to get it out. Let me just say it. Then you don't have to follow it.
I
don't care whether you followed or not. I've got it.
I think it's more of a selfish thing getting it out sometimes, isn't it? You just need to release it.
Like a hot potato. Let me just get it out.
Just release it. And then you're like, I don't care where it goes in the universe as long as it's not living inside me.
I've got quite a critical, my Virgo mind, I've got quite a critical eye. And I'm critical, but not critical. How can I say? I'm looking for how do we make it better, which can seem critical.
But you're looking for the evolution of it all.
But I'm going to, but this is how we make it better, but it can come across as critical.
As if it's not good enough.
Yeah, so kind of while I've been talking to you both, I think what's coming through, because it's kind of just, this is meandered here, is that this eye isn't really about my higher self or whatever. It is about my critical eye and how I balance the critical eye. Get emotional. Because I'm sure everyone around me has to put up with my family have to put up with my critical eyeball. But it does come from a loving place. It sounds contradictory, me saying it's not coming from a critical place. It's more about, yes, trying to make it better.
But do you not think that's where the caregiver, that goes back to that maternal piece of like, you want better for your family and your loved ones than you do for yourself sometimes.
Yeah, it's always just about the betterment.
Yeah.
Or if we've got a choice, let's choose which is the right way. But yes, I think I need to be mindful, and that word mindful, of the critical eye, how that impacts others. Because I actually, although I'm critical, I don't talk to myself with a critical voice. I never down on myself. I'm a very positive person, and I'm positive to everyone else around me. I just think when I'm not filtering and I'm just being observant critical to make it better, but it's not personal, then it can feel, if that makes sense, critical. And I have to be mindful that other people could take that the wrong way, and it can actually have the opposite effect of what I'm trying to achieve.
Without breaking a beautiful emotional. I think that's just being South African, if I'm completely honest. No, I completely, I think that's really, it's a really hard thing, isn't it? Because there's that balance between that aspirational, like you say, and accepting where you are in the present, and that Virgo piece for you. It's finding that balance of there's always another option.
Yeah, at work, if I see something, I'm just like, it's about the work. So it's not personal to anyone, to me, to anything other than, does it look, is it, beautiful, sexy magic? Is it ARgENTUM? So then I'll just go in critical eyes. It'll sound quite, this is wrong.
As a brand founder, though, that's really hard, because I've worked with loads of founders, and you've probably found this as well. Like you were saying, when you get a brief, you have to sense check, because it is in your mind's eye. Like, this brand came to you in a dream. So the only person, it's like when I used to work in theatre, and I'd walk into a room. I could be the best singer in that room, but if I don't look like what's in the casting agent's mind's eye, I've lost before I've even started, because I can't change what their head has created, what their mind's eye has created. And that's where being a creative, whether that's a brand founder, a marketeer, or a makeup artist, it's so personal. And so actually the skill is learning to be the chameleon and listen and translate, and then find that unified image that everyone goes, I look at that word and that word means ARgENTUM. So it's like looking at the caregiver and all the different elements. And I think that's where, when it's sensory, it makes it a lot more, it surpasses what's inside your head. It's something tangible. And that's where I think bringing your fragrances in has really kind of set you guys above, in my personal opinion, a lot of other brands out there, because you aren't trying to compete. You're not thinking about the market. And I'm constantly analysing brands in the market and going, what are they doing? And, oh gosh, they're copying this brand. And, oh, that looks and smells just like that. There isn't a copycatting going on. And it kind of is a blessing and a curse. But it also means, like, for you and your team, because it is just in your head, it's a really difficult thing then to...
It can be very frustrating.
It can, I bet.
Very. And it's not easy, and it's not easy to grow a brand and to, once you get to a certain level of people, there's a lot of different characters. People all need to be visioned in on the same mission. There can be confusion, disruption. We now have moved to like a hybrid or home working since COVID. We let go of our offices and we have our flagship store. But there is this kind of, it works for some people in the business. It doesn't work for others. Everyone's got different communication styles. But, that's part of the growth and the challenge, definitely. What I think with ARgENTUM is about, I'm critical, and I'm happy to do better. Like, if I think we can improve the formula, if I think we can do something better, I'm not sweeping it under the carpet. That's what I would like to do. The customer deserves the very best. It's that jar, that fragrance bottle. It means the world to everyone that works at ARgENTUM, that people have a fantastic experience with the best ingredients, and that it hits them emotionally, and that we connect with them. That's what's important.
I didn't realize that you guys put the cards in like at random into the products.
Yeah.
I
always
thought,
have.
in my mind, I kind of thought it was maybe like a monthly thing, or like depending on when they were packaged. I didn't realize it was like a totally random thing. And I've wondered about that. What was the inspiration behind that? You just thought the right card would find each person?
So we were working with an illustrator called Joe Wilson, who illustrated the ARgENTUM world, because it sort of came from a dream. And I was working with Sam, my husband at that time, around launching the website and the packaging and the leaflet and everything. And I had done a card reading for him, just a normal tarot card reading. And we were talking about archetypes in brand. So it was about, what is the ARgENTUM archetype? Like fairy liquid is innocent, for example, and you would mark it that way. And something inside me was like, no, 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 no. ARgENTUM is all of these things. There's been all of these energies involved in the creation of this one jar that have come in. It's not just a one-sided piece of paper. This is a multi-dimensional thing. Anyway, the concept is quite complicated in marketing if you say that you're all of these archetypes. And really that's where the concept of 12 become one. Sam and I started to talk about that. But initially he'd said, well, why don't you get Joe Wilson to illustrate each of these archetypes, and then we'll put one at random with each of the product, kind of like the reading I'd done for him was just like a card reference. Must have been in his subconscious. And that's what we did. So we did launch with, I mean, people didn't know what they were. It was just, you were talking 13 years ago, just some like random picture of an animal inside your jar of cream. I mean, that really wasn't very Estee Lauder. People thought we were mental.
I love it.
And so we kind of also didn't say too much. And then we just came up with this concept of like 12 become one, or finding the balance and everything. And hadn't even thought about the fragrances at that point. It was really interesting when the fragrances launched, we'd actually gone through a 12-year cycle, which is this completing to the become. So we did really feel like, okay, it wasn't ever just only about skincare. And it wasn't about just beauty on the outside. So it was real evolution, and sometimes going for things and doing things that you didn't know why you were choosing that. Like you were creatively spurred to do something, but you didn't have full vision down the road of where it was going.
There's a lot of courage.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. I remember when we were talking and you said, oh, we launched all of them at the same time.
Yeah, I know everyone gave me such flack for that, but I was like, I'm sorry, you can't have one zodiac sign.
And I was like,
oh, this is
pardon?
the Virgo fragrance.
You launched 13
everyone else
fragrances
you can
at
jump
once.
off.
Yeah. And I remember being like, she's either nuts or got balls of steel. I can't, like, it was crazy. And I think, but when you then get to know the brand and the people behind the brand, it kind of makes complete sense. And there's so many things that I think ARgENTUM does that is now starting to make sense. And I don't know if you notice that with customers and makeup artists and people that you start working with. It makes sense now. I think you were just
way ahead of our time.
There's some of those, there's some brands out there, and I could probably list a few, but like they're so ahead of their time. And you sit there and you think, why did they do that in that moment? And it's like you say, you don't look at the market, it's going out with purpose. And again, I hate talking about brand purpose because it's been used in a really negative way for a really long time, but it's that authentic brand purpose.
Or intuition, like really following a star, following your intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is a bit woo-woo sometimes as the brand.
And
it's
very woo-woo.
It is. And it's finding like, and we spoke before, and like obviously that's when we first met previously. And it's hard to find that balance of talking about, because the woo-woo side of it all, it is what drives you and inspires you all.
But it's steeped in science. I mean, our patent includes something called DNA-HP, which is the DNA polymer extracted from salmon milt. That's polynucleotide. So now, all these years later, everyone's talking about salmon sperm facials, salmon sperm injectables. This is now a buzzword. It's now we're talking about this ingredient. People are like, oh, yeah. Before it was
years,
like,
yeah,
that's been in topical application of that in our product all these years, and it's now just become popular. So it's quite, again, also the alcohol we had. Oh, why are you doing alcohol-free fragrances? Blah, blah, blah. Listen, alcohol fragrances smell incredible. Of course, Delphine designed them. They can work with alcohol, but as a skincare company who's worried about the health of the skin, it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a risk. It has a shelf life. Now all of a sudden it actually is classified as skincare because it has a different formulation. And now you see all the Dior and all the main guys, they've all launched this year. So a few years ago when we launched, everyone was like, nope, don't understand it. And now it's mainstream. And so now, we can, but I think, how do you stand out? You've got to be authentic and original. You can't watch what everyone else is doing, and you have to listen to your intuition. I mean, I literally 13 years ago used that as my keyboard password, and it still is today, because I have to remind myself every day that is what is guiding. I think it's now. I can type it really fast, I have to say. I'm like pretty whiz. I think I can type the word intuition in about 1 second flat.
to take me a minute with my finger pecking.
Nobody hack into my computer now that you all know.
I was thinking
You
exactly
have to
that.
change
I'm
it
not
now.
going to lie.
No,
Whoever,
my bank
don't
account
give your
does
email
not
address out.
have the password intuition.
I think that's intuition's a really interesting point though, because going back to kind of, I struggle to trust my intuition sometimes. I'm very much a gut-led person. When it comes to people, I can sit there and go, don't like them, and I can't really tell you why. I can just tell you I don't like them. But from a science point of view, our gut, actually, we have a second brain. It is in our gut, and it communicates faster at times to our body than our brain.
Your bacteria, your microbiome, cannot like the bacteria or gel with the bacteria with someone else. And that's why you kiss your partner. You actually share microbiome bacteria, and people that you are very attracted to, their bacteria is aligning with you. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
But you've kissed someone before where you've been like, oh, no, cut it.
Oh, my bacteria doesn't like your bacteria.
I
I'm not
wish I'd
gelling with your
known that one
bacteria.
in a past life.
I mean, that sort
Sorry,
of
our bacteria doesn't gel.
doesn't gel. It definitely doesn't. So this is also interesting when we started to, this is what making it better. 12, 13 years ago, we didn't know about the microbiome. People weren't talking about that in terms of skincare. Now it's a buzzword. And so when we got to this point quite a few years ago, I was like, oh my goodness, this is everything and probably the cause of a lot of skin problems. What if our products are not microbiome friendly? And they actually worried me. So we had them tested, and then the other big thing, of course, they're microbiome friendly, but the other big thing was the fragrances. And it was a real, we developed these 12 fragrances. What if one of them failed? And they all passed. So I think, I don't know any other brand that talks about that, with the microbiome, because a lot of the chemicals and fragrances are endocrine disruptors.
I think the problem with microbiome is it's such a big topic, isn't it, that people don't understand, and it's in everything. It's in what we're touching right now. It's in air. Like, how many times are they like, don't use scented candles anymore? It's slowly killing you.
This is why we need an ARgENTUM candle, everybody.
So we have developed them.
I repeat that.
But this
I
is
second
my
that.
crazy perfectionist stuff. Sometimes it can take us 5 years or more to launch a product. We actually developed them many, many years ago. We've been faffing around with the vessels.
I think that's better than pumping one out every 4 months.
Yeah, I would rather have something that's been curated and
it's overthought sometimes. But then I just go, sometimes there's a gap and things open and it moves through quickly, and sometimes it's held for a reason, and sometimes it's like when doors close and you actually realize, oh, that was meant to be. But the candles have all been different. We have a fire, air, earth, and water candle. So it's an energy of the element. Beautiful. We've used a soya wax. We really just thought a lot about what type of wax we use, what does it do, the pros and cons. And then I've been trying to find people to test for endocrine disruption, but I can't find a company that will do that. But we're now playing around with the vessel. It can be very simple, it can be really complicated, and we've made it really complicated. So when we do finally launch,
I would like to be the first one to receive a candle, please.
I'll make sure that you have your element candles for the ritual.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
All my clients, I'll pull this out of my bag. I'll have them in my house. I just know they'll be so good.
There'll be a new candle reading now. Which element
Well,
are
it will,
you?
because if you think of playing cards where you have the suites, where you have elements, it's the same thing. Air is thoughts and communication. Fire is action, your passion. Your earth is your earthly, actual physical things. And water is love, emotions, feelings. So air and water, you can't really see. They're not really tangible. And I think if you're reading cards, and then you'll see on the back of our cards, we kind of got all the elements. But if you actually then said sort of, in what element am I looking at this? If, for example, I have the caregiver here and I pull air, then I know that I'm talking about the way I communicate or the way I think. So it's like a little clue. These are just subliminal symbols that we use. So the candles, you then light a candle according to the element that you were wanting to sort of express.
Would you ever move into makeup?
I've always said no. I would love it.
What about a lip balm, though?
So we have developed a lip balm because we are working with hotel cosmetic amenities. So we're in the Landmark
Building
London.
out her new kit. I can see just that's on the list. That's going in. That's on my Google sheet.
Yeah.
I just know it's going to be so good, so I'm already excited. Tell me more.
So we're pitching and potentially working with some airlines And you need a lip balm. So we have developed a lip balm, a few iterations over the years. We actually developed a lot of things that have never come to market that are there. But the lip balm is an interesting one because it can be a bit of a false economy if you're just sort of actually, how can I say, trapping moisture. You're not actually moisturizing. It sounds like it can make the lips a bit drier.
Yeah.
And so it's finding something at that sweet spot that's really nourishing, moisturizing, and also protective.
Good lip balms are hard to find.
I was
There's
just
so
about to say
many
they're
on the
really
market.
personal.
So many.
I used to work with Carmex, and the volume of discussions that were had around, do you want the tingle? Do you not want the tingle? Do you all these different things and also I think what's really great about lip balms now is they're becoming hybrid products. A lot of people are starting to use them in the makeup kit. They're not being seen from a skincare point of view. They're being seen in different ways. So I do think there's a lot of pressure with a lip balm as well because you can get it wrong too.
I went to a very interesting dinner this week where there was a biotech company from the US who came out who wanted to talk about these new biotech ingredients. What that is they take these microbes, they use AI, and they will delete certain sequences in these microbes of the bacteria, sort of teach it, program it to produce whatever it is. So just say there's this aloe cactus plant that's found in the Sahara. There's only about 10 of them. You extract a particular extract that's really good for a particular thing, but it's just not sustainable or doable. They program this microbe, they put it in like a fermentation vat and give it sugar, and it literally pumps out this molecule. But they've done it with this makeup color that had, it was like 2,500 crushed beetles to produce this very beautiful iridescent makeup color. So the makeup industry, there was a big backlash because of this. And this company is now bioteched this beetle ingredient with the exact color but without crushing any beetles. So the skincare tech and the makeup tech, and they were talking about doing a lot of makeup products where you're using lipsticks that actually have fantastic anti-age, cell regenerative properties or like really good biotech parts in them.
Because I think that's where there's a bigger opportunity and gap in the market. Your lips are one of the first things to show signs of age.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the things that as you age, a lot of women, from the information I have, become more aware of it. I'd be fascinated to see what you think, but my understanding is it's eyes and lips. They're the two, and jowls. Like if I were to pick three, eyes, lips and jowls are the three key areas that women in particular, whether it's makeup or skincare, that there are areas of concern because they are typically the spaces that show signs of aging.
Yes.
First, the fastest or more obviously.
But use the lip potion then as a moisturizer onto the lips. You can use it into the eye area. We designed it that way. So actually before you put lipstick on, because it will absorb, it won't be too runny. That will help to actually moisturize.
And that's your serum. So that's your Botox in a bottle, as it gets referred to sometimes.
Okay. So La Potion Infinity is like your traditional moisturizer, and it has that texture, and that is to moisturize, and it has the patent in. The serum is a completely different texture, but it does have the patent and that potency, and so it will also have the wonderful effects that anti-age, anti-inflammation, and antibacterial.
You could probably even layer that on the lips, the serum, and then the moisturizer over the top.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's this huge debate within the company. We all laugh about it because I'm the only one who stands in the corner and says that actually you can put the serum on after the Potion Infinity. No, or is it the other way around?
First.
Come on, girls. After. Yes, I'm like, do it before or after. If you want the dewy glow, do it after. And then was like, no. But our moisturizer has the same potent actives as the serum, but we've added the rose, the lover fragrance, because rose is really good for the nervous system. It calms it. And then we've added this, we talked about Botox-like effect, and that's this ARgENTUM amplified, which blocks the receptors between the skin and the muscle. So it doesn't paralyze the muscle like Botox, but it just stops the skin moving too much. And it's from natural origin. So it's a really good extract.
And breastfeeding safe.
Breastfeeding safe.
Yes.
Yeah, so our products, we use from natural origins. We will do an ISO calculation rating. Actually, brands are allowed to calculate in a few different ways, and some are less forgiving, and we use the least forgiving calculation, takes it to the lowest. It's ISO, and we list out everything so that there's full transparency on that. So we try to keep as natural as possible. We use food grade preservatives. So sometimes if it's not 100%, it could be there's nature identical food grade preservatives, the stuff that we would get in a good chocolate pudding.
You want your products to be like as natural as possible, but more than anything, you want them to be effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there's no point in making a totally organic, all natural product if it doesn't do anything.
I agree with you, and you can't. It's like having like beauty and no brains. So this is the whole masculine, feminine, and the balancing. I mean, you can't have a product that just smells good and feels good and does absolutely nothing because people are using it for a reason.
Yeah, I think that's where there's a lot of BS in the beauty industry at the moment, where it really winds me up. There's a lot of signposting, preaching, fear-mongering, and no matter whether I've done research in sustainability, in clean beauty, in brand versus social purpose, in all these other elements, and whether you're Gen Z, Gen X, millennial, you know, even starting to talk to kind of Gen Alpha, it's got to work. The number one thing, does it work? Am I giving you my hard-earned money that I leave my family for, my friends, and get out of my warm, cozy bed every day? And I'm going to give you that money and you're going to give me something, and I might... It's like when people talk about putting beef fat on their face.
Oh, the beef tallow.
Oh, the
trend.
tallow?
Honestly. Like, and then they talk about SPF, and it's just so silly.
Can you not imagine? Like, that would not make me feel expensive if someone's like, here's some beef tallow, put this on your skin. That's making me feel
When I was
very cheap.
17, I had a job where I literally got up and fried bacon. That would be the equivalent of how I would feel at the end of my shift if I used beef tallow. But I think the point is, it's number one, efficacy. A little bit further down, depending on your personal values, age, demographic, you're going to care if it's good for the planet and all those things. But its efficacy is the number one thing.
But how many times do you buy a product and you buy it once and you go, it wasn't really worth it? Like, we can't be that. Like, people, what you are buying has to be a valuable exchange. It has to be a proper energy exchange. They need to get something good that they have, yes, their hard-earned money is paid for. And you just wouldn't get repeat business. It just, you know.
But I think it's really hard as well when you're in the kind of higher end space price-wise, and when it's such a concentrated market, it's such a crowded market, the skincare market.
And women are very fickle. So where women are very loyal, they're not loyal when it comes to skincare, makeup and fashion. Men aren't very loyal in relationships, but they're very loyal to products.
I'm looking at my husband who's used the same products for the past 20 years, and I get him better products and I hand them to him and I put them on his like bathroom counter untouched. Doesn't use them.
But do you think that's because...
No, he won't even try them.
Really?
He's so loyal to his...
To his what?
It's Kiehl's.
But do you think that's because we have too many options? Like they say the happiest people in the world are the people that have...
Fewer options.
2 options. Or actually, no, I think it's no options. There's something to do with basically the more options we have, the more unhappy we become. It's not about decision fatigue. It's about we start living in this world of what if. This is why modern day dating sucks and why no one likes Tinder anymore, because you're constantly thinking the next person that comes along is going to be better.
This is how I found my husband, though. I was like, I'm going to do 30 dates in 30 days.
Did you actually?
I did, yeah.
And was he the only one that wasn't Mormon?
Number 30.
No, he was. He actually stood me up for our first date.
What?
So there was like 3
and you
top...
let him have a second?
Well, it was a whole thing. There was like 3 top contenders. Do you guys actually want to hear this story?
Yes, we do.
Okay, there was 3 top contenders that I was like, it's New York City. Like, this is a numbers game. I just want a boyfriend, and like, we'll get there if we just like pump through these guys. Like, let's just find out what there is. So I like in August, it's pretty slow, like July and August in fashion industry.
Say we need to pump through these guys in the UK. That's not something you can say.
Yeah, you're starting to sound like one of the trending topics on TikTok at the moment. But yeah, that's okay.
I guess we need to like meet them. We need to meet these guys, basically. So I downloaded Hinge and I was like, okay, I'm not working that much. Everyone's on holiday.
Yeah.
Let's use this as like a dating time. Yeah. And I was like 30 days, easy enough. And I'd have a phone call, kind of screen them once I got matches, and I'd kind of figure out who the 30 guys were. So each day I just did 1 date. And there was a couple like front runners, and my husband was one of them. I'm like, he's 6'8". I'm like, just finished business school, like tall, British, like this is a good contender, you know? So he gets into my top 3.
He's 6'8".
6'8", yes. Rugby boy.
Oh, so you weren't looking down on his bald head. You were looking up.
Yeah. I was looking up. He's also bald.
Perfect. He's 6'8". It's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's 6'8". You can get away with anything when you're 6'8". But yeah, there was a couple of guys. But yeah, my husband was one of the top 3 that I was excited to meet. I got like my outfit dry cleaned, express dry cleaned, because I'd worn it on a date earlier, and it's like really hot in July in Manhattan. So like I needed it cleaned quickly. So I got it express dry cleaned. I took a cab there, and I'm sitting at 4 o'clock on Saturday at the Natural History Museum waiting to meet my now husband. And this man's coming up to me trying to talk to me. I'm like, leave me alone. I'm waiting for my date. I'm texting him, hey, where are you? No response. I'm like, oh my God, I've been stood up. Like after 15 minutes, I just left, went to Shake Shack and got myself a burger and a shake. And I'm sitting there, and he's texted me, and he's like, I'm so sorry. My friend's ceiling fell through, and I'm helping her bail water, or helping him bail water. I'm helping somebody bail water. And I was like, this is the biggest lie I've ever heard. And I was like, yeah, forget it. A couple of days later, he texts me, and he's like, I'm really sorry about that. I was like, if you start off by standing me up, like, this can't go anywhere good. Like, this is going nowhere good. Like, don't worry about it. A month later, the other guys have all fizzled out. There's no real contenders at this moment. And my therapist's great idea was like, I think that your dating is going poorly because you're telling all these guys you want a boyfriend. Maybe you should just like keep that little fact to yourself. Play it cooler.
I'm looking for a husband.
I don't think I've ever wanted to be in a relationship enough to date 30 people in 30 days.
I had only had these like weird Mormon boyfriends, and I was like desperate for like a real like adult man. So she's like telling me all this stuff about how I need to just play it cooler and just go on dates for fun, not like to find a boyfriend. And I'm like, this is actually good advice from a therapist. So like, I'll take this on board. And that day I go home, and my ceiling has fallen through in my bathroom, and there's water everywhere. And so I took a photo of my ceiling, and I texted it to him. And then I took a little video selfie of myself, really cute, headed to the Beyonce concert. And I said, my ceiling might have fallen through, but I'm still going to make it to Beyonce on time. And he texted back and said, can I take you out tomorrow night? And I was like, I'm not giving you another Saturday slot. You can take me out on Sunday, though. And I want you to pick me up in an Uber. And I want to go to this steakhouse. And I would love to finish the night in a helicopter ride.
What? Wow.
Please tell me you finished it in a helicopter ride.
I didn't. He brought the flowers that I asked for. He did pick me up in a car. He did take me to the steakhouse I requested. And then he took me to a rooftop bar.